the Hardwood live show, playoff edition, bringing you the roundtable RPS crew. We got Travis. He's still waking up. We got K Fallick up watching soccer. Big T doing his thing in the morning. Boss man AP with the hat on. Guys, don't forget, hit that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. And we had a sick night as a crew, a bunch of winners. I saw a bunch of winners in chat. I got to bring it over, though, to the man who, at least on this show, won the most money last night. And that was Mr. Big T with some really good calls on the show. He called some big man fades, and talk about it a little bit, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, those two gamers, I think we did a pretty good job yesterday. AP hopped on with us, me, you, and AP for the most part. And I think we called the slate pretty good. I mean, I don't know. It always feels like we're just talking up the product, but I don't know how you could have a bigger edge than NBA playoffs with what we give you, where we're doing a show for every night. We're giving you game theory plays like Zubac's going to get run off the floor. He didn't play the entire second half. There's no way anyone else in the industry gave you stuff like that. Even Joe Val. So when it got to showdown time, everyone in the chat even's like, oh, you got to play these 3 New Orleans guys. No, you don't. These Clippers guys are going to crush. They're the locks of the slate. Even K Fallick sent me the message yesterday afternoon before I even looked at the slate. Clippers, Clippers, Clippers. I mean, it was too easy. Big night, but we're going to keep it going as always through the finals. A show every day. I already told them I'm going on a show. Whoever else is coming with me, but JSU, I'm sure, AP a bunch, Mangone here and there, Hoop, K Fallick. We're going to do a show every day through the finals. So we'll be here, give you edge. Most of them are going to be premium, but we will throw a free one in here and there, like today.
Yes, sir. And
JSU, can I give one shout out real quick? Can I give one shout out real quick?
Go for it. Yeah.
So, I mean, one, we're doing an insane amount of content right now, you know, with Mangone, with his morning show, just been awesome all week long, getting that done. And then showdown winners with golf every night through rounds 2, 3, and 4. Shout out to Big Rob. If you tuned in last night, JSU was hosting that show last night, the round 3 showdown show. Sung J M with a hole out right out of the gate. Shout out to Big Rob. That was his play of the day in there. I think he gave 2 also. So just want to say
he gave a workbench play. He filled in for Big T. He filled in the Big T shoes and gave a workbench play, but he did it like 10 minutes into the show, Tony. I'm like, Big Rob, you got to wait until the end.
You got to get down in there, Big Rob. You got to warm it up a little bit, big fella.
I'm like, dude, now people are going to leave. They already got the winner. Now people are leaving. Like, we had people saying they already built their teams halfway through the show. Like, it was good. It was good, though. Big Rob's the man. I'll chat. I'm getting to you in a second. I got to bring in my other hosts here. We got Mangone. Mangone's waking up. I see the eyeballs starting to,
He said he was out very, very late last night, he said.
Yeah, talk about
brought home
it,
2 ladies. Whew.
How many ladies? Come on, give us the
It was a long night, but Big T, I saw the ship and I'm on my phone. I'm trying to send out my boy, Uncle Russ. And
we don't need Uncle Russ for last nights. It hasn't met the quota.
That's what my phone said. My phone wasn't sending it, but I said the first showdown winner. I thought, big showdown playoff one. I thought it was maybe worth it, but my phone wasn't letting me send it. So I said, okay, we're not going to force this. We'll wait for
I'm glad you didn't send it. I didn't want Uncle Russ last night. We need a 6, maybe not 6 figures, but we need a little bigger for Uncle Russ.
It's fair, but it was the first showdown playoff one. That's what I thought. I wanted to get the good mojo going with Russ, but I'm excited here to talk some NBA playoffs with you guys, break it all down. Big T, we kind of talked about this on the show yesterday, working with the optimizer, right? Making your teams. I was struggling to find like a perfect team that I wanted to. And then I ended up just sticking with one of those teams that I used with the optimizer. I somehow cashed with Zubac. I'm a donkey who played him, but you know what? It's still okay, right? We make it to the next day. And that's why you got to sign up for SaberSim. Little things like that we talked about yesterday on the morning show of how to be more successful. Kind of just took some of the advice that we talked about.
I can't believe you played freaking Zubac. I haven't heard anything since you said that. Ever since you said Lord Zubac, I just checked out on what you were saying.
Well, you know what happens, Tony? He must not have been listening to.
He was out at the bar trying to get the ladies. He wasn't.
Yeah, he was out at the bar and he wasn't listening to his boys on the show. Because if you listen, JSU said the biggest fade was Joe Val. Big T called both teams going small. I mean, I don't know how you would have played a center from that game if you listen to the show last night. So Mangone, that's you did it wrong for once.
That's why I'm here. I need you guys.
We're out.
It worked
That's
out
what I'm
perfect,
saying.
though. I'm glad when we can make fun of you for it. You at least cashed, and then it makes it funner to make fun of you for it because you still cashed in the circle.
I got the min cash, right? You guys got your nice little hits, and we'll take it. And today will be my day. I gave you that yesterday. Now I'm taking today. This is my chance to win.
All right. Well, Mangone, you had a ship earlier in the week, so just relax a little bit here. We got to bring in K-Phallic. K-Phallic, this isn't a soccer show, so don't tell us about the goalie that let in the easiest goal of your life. Like, talk about the hoops. What's going on in the hoops? You have a good night last night? What's up?
Yeah, it was a nice night. For those Jews, it's the first night of Passover, so happy Passover to all those that celebrate. Had to come on today. Sent the kids over to the kids' t-ball game got canceled this morning, so sent the kids over to the grandmother's house, which means that I get to focus for the next however many hours just on all of this DFS that's going on today. We got so much today.
Any bench time with the kids gone? Are you focused on any of that?
What?
You didn't hear me? Any bench time?
No, she's at work as well.
Oh, she's gone too. So it's actually winter's time. Yeah,
it is 100% winter's time for yours truly for this morning and afternoon. So we're just running through the day. We got soccer started, we got NBA, we got baseball, we got MMA, we got more basketball, got more baseball, USFL. Hey, USFL starts today. Let's get it. I'm pumped.
Love it. Yeah. And speaking of USFL right now, we got a promo code going. Conveniently, it's USFL 36. Get you 36% off your first month's payment over at Rumpier Sports. Get over there, check it out, as all these sites are, upcharging you for an extra $99, $80, $100, whatever it is. RPS, it's just one price and you get everything. So there's no extra charge for USFL, just like every other sport. When we give the same spiel, we're not adding prices to jack it up and charge you when we add on sports. We're just adding on. Our guy Bruce is doing the playbook. He crushed the playbook. We got all the content up on the site. So if you're into the USFL streets, which got to be a ton of you guys, because that thing filled. The main contest anyway filled pretty easily. So check it out over at Rumpier Sports. Use the code USFL 36. Get you 36% off your first month's payment.
How did Hoop decide on 36%? I have to ask. Did he just?
I think Helmet said it was 36 years since they had the league or something. I don't know.
Okay. Helmet, the brains behind it. I like it. It's correct too.
I don't know for sure. I think that's what happened.
That's what he said in the chat. Yeah, it's 36 years
correct.
or 30 whatever from the start of the league.
All right. Well, we got about 245 people in here already. We got 67 likes. Listen, me and Tony are planning on coming on for Easter to do a show, but I'll tell you right now, these likes got to go up if we're doing an Easter show for Hoops tomorrow, because we're going to do it tomorrow in the morning in the midst of all the stuff we got to do with our families. So if you want that show, you better hit that damn like button. We're going to go through this kind of roundtable style. We'll hit all 4 games. We'll break it down. We'll give you the winners. We'll go game by game, starting with the first game and then working our way all the way to the late game. So make sure you guys hit that like. If you're just stopping in, hit that like, hit the subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner is the red subscribe button. Hit that so you get notified every time we go live for all these free shows that we do each and every day. All right, boys, enough talk. We got so many people on here. I was going to quickly kind of just yesterday's games. Big T, do you have a take on yesterday's games? Anything? They went kind of how you thought for the most part. I know me and you like the Clippers though, so we didn't in the end get that part right. But what'd you think of the games last night?
I did want to kind of talk about it for a second because I was on the Clippers. I was on what was the other game? I'm drawing a blank. What was the first game?
Atlanta.
Yeah, I kind of like the Cavs too, who started good, played good, and kind of just got Trae Young. Trae Young was absolutely amazing in that second half, just barbecued the 2 bigs. Cleveland just playing 2 bigs, just getting absolutely barbecued. After our boy Bogart in the chat gave the old, oh, you just can't play these small guards in the playoffs. There's too much length out there for Cleveland. Trey, he's dead. Oh, Bogard didn't work out too well for you there in the second half. But second game, yeah, it started. They played Zubac the whole first half, basically. We're down like 20, exactly like we thought. And then they sat Zubac, went on a massive like 25-2 run, went up like decent amount themselves. And I sent that tweet when they were down, I think 10 or 12. It was Clippers plus 360. They went, and then going into the fourth, the other team, other team was plus 490 or something. And then I get all these tweets after the game, like, oh, bad take, all that. I'm like, guys, just because it was a loser, I take plenty of L's. I've done it all month on these shows with stuff. The Clippers was, yeah, we lost. We didn't go to the winner's circle. But if you think that was a bad bet and a bad wager, especially the plus 3, like, I just don't even know what to tell you. Like, yeah, we lost, but you're really going to make fun of me for saying the Clippers plus 360? Make fun of me for something else. I bet 2 nights ago, we've been right on 2 of the 3 slates. The middle slate, I got killed. So make fun of me about that slate. I had bad takes on that slate. I played like DeJounte and these dudes that sucked on that. Make fun of that. Don't make fun of the Clippers. Like, pick your spots. You know, the Clippers was a great play. The Clippers crushed small ball. Like, they lost, sure, but it was not a bad play. I just wanted to get that off my. So the people that were tweeting at me and DMing me, there's people sliding in my DMs like, your timeline got awful quiet. First of all, I'm not a Clippers fan. I just put the wagers out there. Like, what are you even saying? What's your point? Yeah, they lost, but it wasn't a bad take. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was a good take. But what would have happened if they went small ball for the whole game or most of the game? We saw what happened when they went immediately. We all thought, at least on that show, we all thought it was their best path was trying to run Joval off the floor, which they did. I mean, I don't know. We'll never know, I guess, but it was definitely the path for them, at least, to get towards victory, and they almost did. It's just, you know, not a bad take to take the team that's down when you know they make adjustments. If they make the adjustments, they can come back. That's what you did. You got a good price on it, but it just didn't work out in your favor. Not a terrible take, though. I agree. The middle slate, not as good takes. You could.
We'll have plenty of bad takes. We're going to do a show the whole playoffs. Wait till we have some terrible. Wait till they play Zubac the whole game, and then make fun of me. Like, there was good takes yesterday. Don't waste them on the good takes.
So, anyone else have anything about the Hawks game, or, you know, Trey shimmying on them towards the end, which I was a big fan of watching him shimmy towards the end. Anything? K Fallick, you look like you want to speak.
No, I think it was overall we were spot on what we expected these games to go. When Luke Kennard was officially ruled out,
you're gonna have me spitting my drink when you start talking.
When
about
he was officially ruled out, though, it made these guys just such elite plays for the Clippers, and I'm glad that we were on top of it early and got that information. I felt like it was an easy slate to do well on. So,
all right. Yeah, Big T, I got to actually own up to an L as well, because I will take my L. Nick Batum. Actually, this is a W because Nick Batum scored exactly 20 fantasy points, which was what I predicted.
Are you giving the butt again? Are you giving the butt again?
No. I'm taking the L, though, because me and you fought about Nick Batum and Herb Jones. Herb Jones scored 19.25. Batum scored 20. So I'm giving you your dub on Batum.
If you could play it again, who would you play?
Herb Jones.
You would still play Herb again?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
no. Oh, no.
I thought that he was going to be one of the guys that was going to benefit from the small ball. It was Larry Nance, clearly, but I don't know. I still think that he had a shot. How many times did he cut towards the hoop and there was no one there and they still didn't pass it to him? They just kept shooting mid-range jumpers. And I'm like, he's wide open for a dunk. Just give him the pass. Just give it to him. He's open. And then Brandon Ingram was like, no.
Thank you, Nicholas Cauley. Like, no. JSU loves the take, but the L, but I know Nicholas Cauley.
I took the L.
You took a W before it. It doesn't even count.
No, well, what? So
AP, you were on the show. Who's the better play, Batum or Herb Jones?
Because I predicted the exact score of Nick Batum.
Okay. AP broke the tie.
No, No, but what I'm saying is, you're mad because I predicted his exact score?
No,
I
that
literally
would have been
predicted
fine. I
his
just
exact
want
score on the show. I literally predicted it, and you're saying that that's bad?
Our
I don't
our
understand.
host is off the rockers
Yeah,
right
we
now.
need K Fallick, you need to host.
So hey,
No.
hey, real quick, my only comment was like that was a massive win for the playing game format. Those games
Yeah.
were awesome last night. They were really fun to watch, really exciting, and yeah, so it was good to see.
I like that take. All right, let's move on from the good take, and let's go on to these playoff games, not playing games, playoff games. I see more people are entering the show. As you enter the show, hit that like button. All right, boys, we got Utah and Dallas. That's game one, and it's a perfect start to the slate, in my opinion, because you get Luka Doncic out for this game, so Dallas is going to be very different here with no Luka, because Luka's kind of the guy who gets everything started. He's like, Trae Young. Everything runs through Luka. Same idea here. So no Luka. You got Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson. I'm assuming they're going to be pretty popular on this slate. What are we doing there? AP, I'll start off with you.
Yeah, a fun game right out of the gate, a game that's going to get some ownership, for sure. You'll notice a low total here. Part of that due to Spencer Dinwiddie really likes to slow things down, work that half court game. And the other thing too is like he's a phenomenal play on the slate. Like he's going to get all the usage here. Him or Jalen Brunson's going to be on the court at all times. And the Mavs, like one, the Jazz need to win this game. Like if they don't win this game, that's they're in trouble, because I think Luka at some point is going to be back. You would think, maybe not, but you would think. So they got to get a win here. But really, on the Mavs side, we have tons of guys that we can at least consider here. So I think we're going to see a tightened rotation. We're going to see a lot of Brunson, a lot of Dinwiddie. We're going to see a lot of Reggie Bullock. He needs to have a big game here, a 3-and-D guy that I think has been kind of a difference maker for them down the stretch. When you add in him and Dorian Finney-Smith, they are just tough on these perimeter guys. They are really, really tough. And that's like the Jazz's game. So like when you just think about how this game could play out, it would make sense for the Jazz to go through Rudy Gobert, but I don't know if they're going to do it. Like if we think about Donovan Mitchell, and I'm really curious to see what you guys have to think about this when he gets in the playoffs, it's kind of all about him. And he has some monster games in the playoffs. Most of them came in that bubble play, but still he's been a guy that's been proven in the playoffs. So how I see this game playing out DFS wise, I have Reggie Bullock is as one of my values that I really like. I think Maxi Kleber is going to be your typical cash guy. Probably will come off the bench, but they're going to need him to hit shots to stretch the Jazz a little bit. And then, DFS, he's like kind of priced in this kind of awkward range, 5'4". I'm still giving him a fair projection, but for me, it's Dinwiddie 6'3", and that's, a pretty obvious play. I'm torn on what to do on the Jazz side. I do think Gobert is interesting. I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely the sexier play on paper. And then you got Bojan. He's going to play a lot more minutes. The guy I'm definitely fading is Mike Conley. And I would much rather play like a Jordan Clarkson over a Mike Conley take as well. And I think, Conley could potentially get some ownership here as well. And a guy like Jordan Clarkson, who they have, they trusted down the stretch, and then they have trusted him in the playoffs at times too. I just, I don't see anyone playing him. So in multi-entry formats, I'd rather go to him over Conley.
All right, Mangone. So I got something for you, and I need your opinion here, because are most people just jamming in Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson together? Are they choosing one or the other? What do you think is going to be the popular cash type route on this slate?
Yeah, I think you're going to see most people put Dinwiddie first, no doubt, right? Like just because of the price gap. The price gap is a pretty wide margin. It's $900. Both are point guard shooting eligible, so it's not like one can go in one position. And if you play both, well, now I can only play one guard, and then I can only play a guard at utility, right? So this naturally on this slate will narrow down like a lot of the guards that are at the top that are like spend ups. I just don't think people are going to play as much. A lot of that, like, because we have this slate so spaced out. When you know Dinwiddie's ownership and you know Brunson's ownership, you can kind of figure out, are people spending up at guard? And if they're not, you can grab some really contrarian options at the top. I think that a lot of people are going to just jam in both. And then I also think that a guy like Maxi Kleber, who AP mentioned before at 3-3, is going to get pushed into lineups too, because he's just a natural value that you can plug in. And if you do play Maxi, do not play him at center. Play him at your power forward position. Like, please do not put him at the center position. It's way better to put him at power forward. That way you can go grab Jokic. You can grab an Embiid. Now, if you want to just put him at center because you like the way your lineup's constructed and you're paying in other spots, I get that. But I think if you don't have your plan figured out, you want Maxi in that power forward spot for sure. I don't know what everyone's going to do with the Jazz, though, right? We always talk about this on the Up the Lock shows. I see you guys discuss it. A run back. And I think Donovan Mitchell at 8-1 is a pretty interesting run back. It's a pretty cheap price tag for him. AP mentioned he kind of dominates in the playoffs and gets all that usage. I also don't think Mike Conley is just going to out of nowhere steal all the usage and do amazing. So I really do think Donovan Mitchell at 8-1 is like a low owned guy that you can grab early on and kind of have your answer of, okay, I have this like guy who's like maybe like between like 10 and 20% on a 4-game slate. And you know what score he put up. And now you know what decisions you have to make. Maybe let's say Jokic is the most popular guy in the slate. Well, now I know I can go to Embiid if I think I'm behind and I need to play catch up. And there's just so much game theory that can go on throughout these slates where I don't mind maybe jumping on a guy like Mitchell early with some of these Maverick values. The only concern is this is a 208.5 total. And I know totals aren't everything, but there's a 237.5, a 215.5, and a 223 total. It's by far the lowest total. So as I am building my lineups, I am thinking about, do I actually want to game stack this all the way, or am I just kind of getting in the value plays instead? A couple last guys to mention. I don't love DFS's price at 5.4K. And then Reggie Bullock at 4.8. Like, he's just better when you have a guy like Luka next to him to give him that spacing and give him those open threes and help create the open shots for him. I don't know if I love him at that price tag. And I think overall, I'm really just keying in on Dinwiddie and Brunson, and then maybe mixing in like Maxi Kleber as a value just because he's so cheap and helps me get another stud that can just like take me to the top of the leaderboard.
All right. I like that. I agree with you on the Reggie Bullock take as well. I like that. Not a big fan of him without Luka. Okay, Falik, what do you got here? Do you agree with Mangone that there's going to be a big difference between Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson from maybe an ownership perspective? Or do you think people are just going to jam them in and forget about the gap in pricing?
I think that they're going to struggle playing this first game too much. And I think that you can take advantage of that situation potentially to an extent. I'm not seeing the ownership as high as I expected it to be. And as Travis wants to know, the charts did get to work this morning. So we have two games, March 5th and March 23rd, that Luka was out. Spencer and Jalen were in. The only person, honestly, that wasn't in was in the March 5th game. Maxi Kleber wasn't in on that game. But man, those rotations were tight, like really, really, really tight. You had Reggie Bullock playing 42 minutes. You had Jalen Brunson playing 37 and a half. I think he would have played more, but he got a long rest in the fourth quarter. Dinwiddie played 36 minutes. Finney-Smith played 33, but really what was going on is the bench guys weren't getting any run. Trey Burke played 4. Sterling Brown played 9. Frank the Tank played 8.
Okay, Alec, where are these charts? They're not in the Discord?
I haven't put them in the Discord yet. I'm sorry.
I see you all up in the soccer chat. I need these charts. I was out late last night, K Falik.
Okay, I'll drop them. I'll drop them in between my turn. I will drop them in there. But they then played the Rockets, and it was a blowout. They won by 19 in the end. But Jalen Brunson saw 30 minutes in the first 36, before the third quarter. Dinwiddie saw 34. All the usage flowed through the two of them. It's tough to ignore them. And then on the other side with Utah, as was said, like Donovan Mitchell at 8.1K is really nice. I think you can get value for a guy like Royce O'Neal, who's going to see more minutes, 3.6K today, against the Mavericks. I think that there's plenty of plays in this game. I think that it could be a really nice way to start off the slate. I'm not concerned about totals. I'm more concerned about rotations. And when I see the rotations, how they are, I think you can play some of these pieces. I think the Mavs are going to play 8 guys. really 6 or 7 guys for quality minutes. So yeah, I'm very interested in this game. I'm going to go drop the charts right now. So please give me a few minutes while I drop them.
There you go. Okay, Falk, we'll get those to you guys in the Discord. All right, Big T, you got a lot of love in this chat right now. I'm seeing random. I love Big T in the chat. Tony loves Maxey. I don't know about that. I don't know if he loves Maxey. I don't know if people know what Maxey did to him. So, Tony, talk about Dallas and Utah. If you want to talk about Maxey Kleber, go be my guest.
Yeah, I mean, I love when Maxey's on the slate like this because all the donkeys did just go in there and play him when he's literally just sucks ass. Like, he's so bad. And just because he's cheap, everyone's going to play him, and he's so terrible. He might – I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he just didn't even play the whole second half again. He's so slow. He can't guard anyone. It's embarrassing how bad he is, and he's going to be like 50% owned today just because of his price. It's literally – I love when he's on the slate because of that. So, yeah, I mean, I like this game. I haven't looked at totals all year, kind of like K Fallick. I don't care at all, even remotely. It doesn't even weigh in my not a single like ounce of weight. And I just think these guys are going to play short rotation. Some of the games today, make no mistake about it, we just had a few play-in games. These are 7-game series now. Some of these teams are going to play deeper than others. And these two teams, I think, should be about as condensed. I'm looking at the other games. I don't really – Toronto obviously plays their guys, but these two teams are going to play their dudes. And you got 2 guards from Dallas that, I mean, should have the ball in their hands the entire game, making the plays, creating, scoring. I like them a lot. I mean, I don't really see much else there. Kleber, I mean, if you want to play chalk Kleber, that'll get you like 18 maybe. Sure, put him in there, but I don't really see. I think I'd rather play like Royce O'Neal or something like K Fallick said for a little bit more. And then the Utah side, I think, is the sneaky side because Donovan Mitchell's been awesome in the playoffs. He's only 8,100. I think he should be good. And then you got some of these tweener guys like Conley, Bojan. I don't love them, but I do think they play a ton of minutes and they're under 6K. And I think that Utah is going to have a good offense today against this Dallas team who I don't think Dallas matches up very good with this Utah team, which is why I said on the one show or the bet show, whatever I did, it might have been Mangone's morning show, that my favorite bet of the whole first round is Utah series. And I know everyone's like, yeah, they're minus 300, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I don't usually give big favorites, but if I think it's a lock, minus 300 is a discount for me. I just think I got a huge bet on it to cover some of my other series bets. And I just think it's a lock. I mean, Luka's hurt. We don't know if he'll be back at all. I just think Utah is more veterans. I just think they're going to handle this Dallas team pretty easy. And one of the sneakiest plays on the slate, no one's going to play him, is Gobert at 8K. I don't like Gobert. Everyone knows that by now. But, man, Dallas against bigs like this that can roll to the hoop, especially if guys like Maxey are in there, he is going to roll to that hoop with Donovan Mitchell and just go off. And with Embiid and Jokic's price is lower today at 10.6 and 10.4. I mean, Gobert's only 2K cheaper, 2,500 cheaper. No one's going to play Gobert. And, yeah, obviously I got the Jokic shirt on. He's the man. I'm going to play Jokic. I'm going to play Embiid. They're both cheap. But it's tournaments. What do we do when Gobert somehow gets 60 today? You're going to win a lot of money, and I think he could. I think he could go off in this spot. And you get a different roster construction, too, because everyone's playing Jokic and Embiid, both of them. So that's where I'm at.
All right, yeah. So I, for one, if anyone watches the shows, everyone knows I'm the biggest Maxey Kleber hater on the face of the earth. I refuse to play him on pretty much any slate, even especially when he's popular. Like if he's going to be popular, like 30, 40%, which I think he could be on this slate because people are going to look for that real cheap value. I'm definitely not playing his, like no way in hell I'm playing Maxey Kleber. I do think, though, this game, forget about the totals. These guys are going to play big minutes. The main guys, anyways, are going to play big minutes. And that's what you're looking for in the playoffs. You want the key guys with the ball in their hands to play big minutes. You're going to get that in this game. My worry is Dallas is going to really struggle to score. Like, their way of success was really, I think, Luka. And Luka being able to get switched onto Rudy somehow, pull Rudy out of the basket. And I don't know if these other guys are going to be that successful doing that, as obviously Luka would. And you can say, yeah, obviously Luka is better than, yeah, that's my point though. I think they're going to struggle to score. You're going to have a lot harder shots for guys like Maxi Kleber and Reggie Bullock in DFS. They're not going to be as open shots. I wouldn't be shocked if Utah ran away with this first game here, with Dallas kind of struggling with no Luka. I do like the take with Rudy Gobert, just because I could see him having like 20 rebounds in this game. I could see him posting like a monster rebound number, especially if Dallas, like I said, is struggling, trying to get open looks and open shots, which I think they could. So Donovan Mitchell, for sure, interesting. Rudy Gobert, I don't know if the only way I'd play them together is if I play both Brunson and Dinwiddie on a team. Like, if I play both Brunson and Dinwiddie on a team, I could probably play Rudy and Donovan, and that would make the team a little different, kind of stacking it up that way, in my opinion. But I just don't like the idea of playing Brunson and Dinwiddie without any Utah guys. I think if you play Brunson and Dinwiddie, you should definitely play some Utah. And I like Donovan Mitchell. I like Rudy Gobert. So if I play anyone, it's going to be those guys. But I don't know. I'm still torn on, like, maybe just playing a Utah dude and moving on from this game might be a way I could go on this slate. Just to be different on some
I don't
teams.
think you can fade both those Utah guys.
It's
You don't
really
think
hard.
so?
Let me throw out one
Dallas
more.
If you get your
guys.
blowout,
Wait,
you could, but
talking
man.
Dallas.
I
You're
think
talking
yeah.
Dallas guys.
I think the best
Yeah.
way to handle it, like, is just playing one of them, like just keeping them separate from each other. That way you're not, yes, maybe you're not having as great of a floor as them, but like you're getting a ceiling from at least one of them. You can kind of group them away from each other if you'd like to, and your optimizer stuff. I'm not saying you need to, but you can. And I just think naturally that's going to give you a way that's unique. And like, let's say you put in Donovan Mitchell and Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, if you put those two guys in, well, you only need one more guard spot technically on your teams. Your utility could be filled by any other type of position player, where if Donovan Mitchell has a big game and Dinwiddie is the better guard on the slate than Brunson, well, there's a really good chance then if Mitchell has that big game that you're hoping is the run back, that you won't need a Brunson on your teams, because there's only one more spot that you naturally need to play one guarded, right? Yes, you can play two more guards, but a forward could go into that utility. A center could go into that utility spot, where I think it does make sense just to only play one of them if you're looking for like the best ceiling team.
Here's my problem with playing one. Hold on. Here's my problem with playing one guy is I don't think they can keep this game close without both of them having a good game. This is my point of not liking anyone else around them. Not liking Reggie Bullock, not liking Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, all these other guys. I don't think anyone else, but I think those two guys are the key. If they can draw attention, if they can beat their first man and make 2-play-1 and get their guys open looks, they're going to have success. They're going to have good DFS slates. I don't like the idea of playing one of them, though. I think you're either playing two and you're playing a Utah guy, or you're fading and hoping for the game script of blowout, which I do think is very possible.
JSU, even if it blows out and like they're down like a lot in like the fourth, I still think Dinwiddie could be out there for a good amount of time playing. Like, look at the guards they have. Like, they just legit don't have any guards. Like, it's bad.
I was going to say too, before you guys started, like, if I faded Brunson and Dinwiddie, which I don't think it, like yesterday I said, you can't fade Reggie. I don't think you can fade both of them for sure. But if I did, you can bet money I'd have Trey Burke on my team. Like, you can't just fade all of these Dallas guards out. I mean, they just have to get there one way or another. And Trey Burke could be sneaky though if you hate these two, or if you don't, even if you don't love these two. I think Trey Burke's a great play.
Trey's the perfect example of like offense if needed. If they're struggling offensively, he's going to get run.
Which they probably will struggle a little bit to score. So he could be a good play. To your point
though, if they're getting blown out early, maybe Trey Burke picks up run early, and if he's doing well, he might pick up even more runs. So that's kind of to your point.
Trey Burke could get there in a good script too. So he might be a better play than I thought originally, now that we talk it through a little.
I like it. Okay, Falk, do you have a take on him?
Yeah. So the other guy I was going to throw out two guys that I thought were sneaky for 150 type plays. I'm not a guy that plays 150s personally, but
You play your 3 max like 150 though.
sometimes. So Trey Burke is one, and then the other one's Josh Green. I don't think we should sleep on Josh Green today.
Not Josh Green.
With Utah going small as well, they play a smaller type of lineup as well. Josh Green could get 20-25 minutes and could make a difference potentially in this type of game script. We'll see. I'm just saying he could be a guy that could 3.6K on DK. He's a guy that could definitely make some moves. He's 3.7 on FanDuel. So the one thing I will say, the biggest price difference that I'm seeing on this early game is Reggie Bullock is 3,900 on FanDuel. He's 4,800 on DraftKings. So just make sure to keep an eye on that as well.
All right, a little FanDuel talk there. I like it. All right, boys, I think we talked plenty about game one. Guys, don't forget, hit that like button. As I said, tomorrow we're going to have multiple shows. NBA, MLB, we're going to have a NASCAR show on this YouTube channel. So hit that like button. You like free content, you like free shows. We're going to be doing a bunch of free shows on Easter. All right. A bunch of our guys are still going to be grinding, working, baseball, NASCAR, and like I said, NBA. So get on there, hit the like button for us. We appreciate it. Let's move on. Let's talk about game two. I can't wait to talk about game two. Minnesota and Memphis. And boy, I think a lot of people after that game in Minnesota, I think a lot of people are liking this Minnesota team. I think they're starting to gravitate to them. They got a fun team. Anthony Edwards, Cat, D. Russ, Pat Bev's getting Bud Light sent to them. I forget they're changing the Bud Light and they're sending them Bud Lights. I mean, he's just like the biggest talk, and he's just Pat Bev. Like, he's an average player. He just tries really hard. So I can't wait to hear. I'm sure he's going to be highly projected after that game. People are probably going to jam him in. AP, I'm coming back to you to start. What do you got here with Minnesota and Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, this game. So just, when we think about regular season, totals kind of dictate quite a bit, that injuries, usage, et cetera. I really am curious to see where ownership lands on some of these Timberwolves guys, because I don't really like them against the Grizzlies. I just think the Grizzlies are a team that, man, they're going to try so hard on the defensive end of the ball. You got Dylan Brooks, Bane, who's been just incredible, and they got John Morant back. And when I look at the Wolves, like D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards carried them in that last game and kind of fed off of Pat Bev's energy, like you mentioned. And then Towns was an absolute disaster. And I was on Towns in that game. Definitely took my L. Shout out to you guys for fading him. But man, I think all these guys kind of take from each other. And I just think it's one of those spots that I want to under project these Wolves bigs. I want to under project Pat Bev, D'Lo, and Edwards. I definitely want to under project Jared Vanderbilt. So 4K, he's going to be a guy that gets quite a bit of ownership. He took like 2 shots, like every game he's going to play 30 some minutes and he like takes no shots and he gets there via rebounding. So I want more upside at that position. And I would need him to be like 3.5K, I think. So he's going to be a guy I'm definitely under on. On the Grizzlies side, we know, just looking back, that so they played the Jazz last year in round 1. We saw 40 plus minutes out of John Morant each game. We saw 40 plus minutes out of Dylan Brooks each game. I'm confident that Morant, Bane, and Brooks are going to get the bulk of the minutes here. I'm not confident with guys like Jaren Jackson, guys like Steven Adams in that front court rotation. So I'm going to be lower on those guys. Dylan Brooks, I'm going to be high on. I just think from a minute standpoint, I know we need raw scoring from him to get there, but I think he's going to be that guy that's interesting for me. And the other thing too is like John Morant, kind of like, I think he's a really good play tonight in this matchup. I think he could, I've gone back and forth. I think Pat Bev, people overrate his defense. I think he's just annoying, but John Morant could absolutely put on a show today. And I think he's going to be pretty low owned. So I think he makes for a very good tournament play in this game.
Defense, people who don't know, when you're in the NBA, it's a lot of effort and heart. Like, I mean, there are a lot of really good defenders that you might not think like are just like solid guys, but they don't give like 100% effort all the time, maybe, or they don't have the heart and the drive to push through like guys like Pat Bev. That's why you say he's a really good defender. No, he's effort. He's all effort 100% of the time. That's why they give the whole, like, he's the guy you'd want to coach. Like, coaches love his passion and stuff. That's what he is. He's not like, I don't think he's like the elite defender. I just think he really tries hard. He's a try hard. And, that's why everyone sees him as that. I think he's a very average basketball player at best. Like, you just look at his skills. He's very average. Mangone, what are you seeing in this Memphis-Minnesota game here?
Yeah. So the big thing that I noticed when looking at some of the salaries is, like, you can play Jalen Brunson at 7-2. You can play D'Angelo Russell at 7-2, right? That's going to kind of be a really interesting debate that you can make with your teams. Like we talked about like yesterday on the show, Big T, like you could just literally go and pick a team that's like from like one of those, like, high up teams in Saberson and just literally swap out Brunson for D'Angelo Russell. And I think that already has like naturally made you a really good team that's just instantly different. I think D-Russ is a really good play today. I think Ant Edwards, another guy, really good play, because I'm just not a big believer in Cat right now. We'll see. Maybe he proves it at 9-6, but I think he's someone I'm still going to fade, even though I do think it's a good matchup. And if you want to take advantage of a guy that's going to be really low owned in this spot, he will be very low owned. No one is going to go to him after what happened, especially with Jokic and Embiid as possible spend up center. So if you'd like to take a shot on that, you can. But I like Ant at 7-6, and I like D'Lo at 7-2. I think they're both really good options. Pat Beverly is like a nice combination of like floor ceiling, I think, at 5.4K. Someone that you feel like you can trust, but not someone I'm like jamming into my lineups. He's more of like a last guy in, where if I build out the team and I like a lot of stuff and Patrick Beverly's on it, I'm interested. I like AP's call with Dylan Brooks. I do think he's going to get a pile of minutes at 6.2K. He's definitely a good play. And I feel like they've kind of at times throughout the year babied him a bit, and he's been injured in and out of the lineup. So this is where I think you get the full go from him. So he should be interesting. Desmond Bane's price, I believe it's like a little higher than I want it to be. Yeah, like 7-1. I wish he was more in that like 6-6 range, I think, or 6-5. And also guards, again, like, people are playing a lot of Brunson and a lot of Dinwiddie. And if they're going to play Kleber as well then they're doing that so they can spend up for like a Jokic or an Embiid. And then naturally, these guards are just going to get lost in the shuffle on the slate. Just like AP was saying, he thinks Ja Morant comes in low owned. I agree. At 9.8K, if you want a low owned guy that has the ability to break a slate, he's right there for you if you want. 9.8K for Ja Morant. He just won't get as much ownership as you would expect. So I think overall, this is going to be a really interesting game. I'm not going to take any chances on like a Jaren Jackson or a Steven Adams. Just feels like the wrong slate. Don't want to deal with them. And I think the main guys I'm keying in on are Ant Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, and then maybe mixing in like a Ja Morant or like a Dylan Brooks if I need a cheaper option from this team.
All right. Falik, what do you got here with Minnesota Memphis? Are you kind of high on some of those like Ant, D-Russ, kind of like the mid-range players for Minnesota? What do you think?
Yeah, so let me start off with Memphis, because I think it's an important thing to say. So first of all, when Memphis plays in the playoffs, they start tightening up the rotation. We saw it last year versus Utah. So I think you'll see a tighter rotation potentially than what is being projected. The number one thing I will say is that these prices on DraftKings for these Grizzlies are just too much, like, is the easiest way to put it. I don't see how you can play these Grizzlies on DraftKings. On FanDuel, every single one of them should be in play. Like, every single one of them should be somewhat in play on FanDuel, because you got Ja Morant, who's 9.8 on DraftKings, 8.8 on FanDuel. Desmond Bane's 5.9 on FanDuel, 7.1. Like, go down the list. You got Dylan Brooks, 6.2, 5.2. The one guy that I'm interested in on DraftKings, and I'm interested to hear JSU's take, because this is kind of a JSU thought, Brandon Clark at 3.8K. I could see Steven Adams getting run off the floor by Cat playing at the 3-point line, and Brandon Clark being needed to play to guard that position. And then he also gets all of the backup Jaren Jackson Jr. minutes, or most of the Jaren Jackson Jr. minutes. I think guys like Zaire Williams been a good player for them this season, but I don't see him being a guy that they're going to throw into the rotation if there's foul trouble for Jaren Jackson Jr. anymore. Same with Kyle Anderson. I think they're going to go to Brandon Clark against these bigger guys for Minnesota. So, like, I'm interested to see if JSU agrees with me on that, because I think that's the the route and the thought that I'm going with. For Minnesota, I don't see how you can play some of these guys. I think one of them could hit like an Ant Edwards or D'Angelo Russell that was discussed, but I'm going to have a lot of trouble playing them over the Dallas and Utah plays that I like. Like it's a pricing thing more than anything else. I think that they're fair. Pricing is fair for them, but I'm not sure I like them because I think a guy like Donovan Mitchell at 8.1K is just too cheap for what he does in the playoffs and what happens to that team in the playoffs. So it's challenging for me to do that. I don't see how I'm going to play D'Angelo Russell when they have all these other guys over a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie. So that's my thoughts is I'm probably going to fade this game completely except for Brandon Clark. As long as JSU gives me the green light and says I'm not being stupid by playing Brandon Clark today.
Yeah, well, let me just, before I send it to Tony, let me touch on that because I think this is a similar idea to like how we said yesterday on the show, like, listen, if the game goes the way we think it goes with the Clippers in New Orleans, then certain guys are going to be better plays like Robert Covington. I agree with you. I think Brandon Clark, if the game goes that way where Steven Adams gets run off the floor, which is very viable, Jaren Jackson Jr., we all know what he can do. He can get in foul trouble in the first 3 minutes. Brandon Clark can back up both those guys. He's 3.8K, so I don't even see it as much of a risk. And when you got guys like Maxi Kleber who are going to be higher owned than a Brandon Clark, who I think Brandon Clark is, one, a better player for sure, and two, he's got way more upside, and the minutes could potentially be much more in the playoffs where you said they're not going to trust the Zaire Williams. They're not going to trust those guys. They're going to lean on the veteran and role players that they have, the DeAnthony Meltons, the Brandon Clarks. Those are going to be the guys off the bench that they lean on. And we've seen Cat struggle with like little smaller type lineups. And Brandon Clark, he's not like super, he's not super tall, but he can play like that small ball 5 easily. You know what I mean? He's a good rebounder. He's a big body for his size. I think he could give, Cat some frustrations. He can move his feet a little bit too. If Cat wants to stay outside, he can hang with them. So I like the idea of Brandon Clark in tournaments as a cheap play. You know what I mean? So Tony, I'll send it to you here. What do you think? We got some guys who are a little higher on Minnesota. Some guys are, think some of them are better plays. Memphis plays are better plays on FanDuel, not on DraftKings. What do you got here?
Yeah, I think this game is just a very, very easy fade all the way around. Like Brandon Clark, I mean, you guys seriously just spent 10 minutes talking about Brandon Clark. I mean, come on.
Is that it
for the game?
That's your take?
I mean,
okay.
Come on. It's a 4-game slate. Brandon Clark isn't going to be on the damn winner.
I think the reason why this game is a fade outside of Brandon Clark, because he's 3.8K, is because Memphis is going to blow him out by 25. I'm going to put it out there right now. Memphis is going to blow out this team by 25. This team is way better than Minnesota, like way better. Like they're so much deeper, in my opinion. Ja is going to put it on them. They're not going to know what to do with guys like Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane. They play good defense. They can play offense. Like these are two-way players. This defense is going to turn it up on Minnesota. This is not going to be like the Clippers, in my opinion. This is going to be a lot tougher task, and Minnesota is going to put it on them in game 1.
Well, one more thing, too. These guys aren't playing 40 minutes. Like, make no mistake about it. Like, I don't care what you guys say. They're not playing 40 minutes. Not in game 1.
Who are you talking about?
What team? What team?
Yeah.
Either one.
I
John Morant's not playing 40. No one's playing.
John Morant's not playing.
Who said that?
One of you guys said it because I heard you say it.
John Morant's
not playing. I said last season in the first series against the Jazz, he played 40 minutes a game every game.
Okay.
John Morant's not playing 40 minutes because he's just coming back from injury, and I think he's still injured. He played 26 minutes in his first game back, in his only game back. I think that he would have played 31, 32 if it didn't get out of control, and I don't think he's going to play more than 34 or 35 minutes.
How many Brandon Clark play?
He's not going to play 40 minutes because this game's going to be a blowout. Like, that's why he's not going to play 40 minutes anyway. So it doesn't matter.
So last year, game one, Memphis, Utah, close game the whole way, high scoring game. pretty high scoring. What was it? It was 112 to 109, so somewhat high scoring. Ja played 35 minutes, Dylan 36, Kyle Anderson got 30. Joe Val played 39 against them. I mean, I don't. They played 10 dudes last year. They're going to play 10 dudes tonight. I don't really.
I don't know. I'm confused because I agree with you that I think the game is a fade outside of a value play. I think you're confused. I think half the panel
there's a 5-man panel, JSU. There's other people on the panel. Other people have said
panel
stuff
agrees
too.
with you. I don't know what you want. You want
Why don't
everyone
you let
to
the other
agree?
half? Why don't you let the other half speak real quick? Like I'm trying to.
Okay,
explain
thank you. Well, I want to hear the other half because JSU
go.
thinks I'm just talking to him. So what does the other half think?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I think that I agree with you. Almost all these games, most teams are going to play like they're not going to play like, tight rotations like right away in game one. As you like to say, Big T, game one is the feel out series. Some of these guys will get like, normal, pretty good minutes, but game one, you definitely feel stuff out. The reason I like D'Angelo Russell, who I mentioned before at 7-2, and I know you said just to fade this game, is I think it's a good way to get like a pivot off of a Jalen Brunson. I think that's a good way. Also, if Cat is not going to be as great in the playoffs, that usage has to go somewhere else. Well, where is it going? It can go to a D'Lo. It can go to a Ant Edwards. Now, if you think the game blows out and that's the game script you're predicting, or you think that Memphis is just going to, walk through this game pretty easily and the Timberwolves aren't going to play as well then you don't want to roster Timberwolves, right? Like that makes sense. Sometimes I think people like use the projections and they jam in guys when if you think the team's not going to win, sometimes that means the stars or their best players are just going to absolutely dud. So then you kind of stay off of them. The thing on the Memphis side that I don't mind about a Dylan Brooks is that he's 6.2K and he's at that forward position. The other reason to play Ja, like I mentioned before, is it's just a 9.8K guy at the top that is going to be 10% owned that can win you a slate. Now, if you're concerned, like K Fallick said, about the injury, then don't go ahead and do that. But he is a guy at the top that can just go out there and drop like 70, and that wouldn't surprise you at low ownership.
JSU, can we take 2 minutes and just talk through FanDuel for the Grizzlies real quick? Like, I think that it's a completely different.
We had some asks to talk FanDuel, so I will allow it. K Fallick.
Yeah, so I threw out my thoughts real quick already on FanDuel that the pricing is so critically different. I'm still not going to play John Moran at 8.8K because I think, again, I don't think he's got the minutes to garner that when you have guys like Donovan Mitchell who are right there as well. And there are tons of guys in that range, but guys like Desmond Bane at 5.9K playing 35 minutes. Dylan Brooks, I think, is like one of the best plays on FanDuel at 5.2K. Those are the two guys I'd be most interested in on FanDuel. Steven Adams, I just won't play him yet until I know what this rotation looks like, but those are the two guys I'm most interested in, are the two other wing players for the Grizzlies.
So here's my thing with FanDuel, and I think this is another reason why Ja probably isn't a good play on this slate, and on DraftKings too. You can take I just think that Jokic and Embiid are just much better spend-ups. So I struggle to pay 9.8K on DraftKings when Jokic and Embiid, and I know they're different positions, but I'm just talking about from spend-ups. We've got Jokic, Embiid, and then Ja is I think the third highest priced guy on DK. And on FanDuel, he's not that high up there, but he's still a guy you're going to spend up for. I just struggle to spend up for him as much as I love him when you've got guys that are mispriced on DraftKings like Jokic and Embiid. And then on FanDuel, they made it so you can play both Jokic and Embiid in lineups. Like they made them power forward and center eligible. So naturally, I'm going to want some builds where I could play both of them potentially. So that's where I struggle on FanDuel is, paying up for guys when, now they're allowing me to play the two best spends in the same build. Like I struggle. That's where I have. Anyone else have a take before we move on?
Yeah, I'm with K Fallick.
Guys.
I'm with K Fallick. I mean, these guys are too cheap on FanDuel, and Ja included. 8,800 for Ja on FanDuel. I mean, he's 3,200 cheaper than my boy Jokic. And if I project them fairly, like I give Jokic low 60s and Ja somewhere close to 50, like you're just, I don't know, the price break is significant. And these guys like K Fallick said, Dylan Brooks 52, you got Bane 59. I don't know. These dudes are much more in play. Even Steven Adams, I don't usually play him, but if you're playing Ja and fading like Yoke and stuff like that, Steven Adams at 5,100 is. I think these Memphis plays are definitely in play on fan. They're just so cheap, and I don't know. There's definitely a path where Denver gets blown out by Golden State and stuff too, and because they will sit guys quicker in these games too. Game one, if it gets ugly. Jokic and Embiid are both great play. We all agree on that. Like, no one's going to disagree that these guys are good plays, but stuff can happen. It's a long series, and I don't know. I'm definitely with K Fallick on FanDuel.
Yep, FanDuel, they are cheap plays. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next game here that we got. Toronto, Philly, which should be, I think, is going to be a very back and forth series here. Toronto coming in. I think they're going to win this series. I've already talked about it a little bit. AP, coming back to you here. What do you like here in Toronto and Philly?
Yeah, so this is going to be probably one of my favorite games to target. We were talking about the last game and how, we're not going to see 40 minutes from those players. I think that's going to not be the case here. Toronto, we know what Toronto's going to do. They're going to run a tight rotation. It's what they do. It's what they've done all season. Nick Nurse, that's his go-to. These guys, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, they're going to play a ton of minutes here. And Siakam has been a beast on the stretch. He's probably my favorite run back here in this game. And then I think it's so much pressure and everything is on James Harden's shoulders. DK gave us a really nice price tag here at 9.2. And then we got Embiid, who I think is free also at 10.4. I'm going to have a ton of Harden and Embiid builds on this slate with a run back from the Toronto side. This is probably going to be my highest owned game. I'm definitely fading a bunch of pieces here. Like, I'm never playing Danny Green. I'm not playing Tyrese Maxey either. I would just much rather have Dinwiddie for 100 cheaper. And then when it comes to the Toronto side, my preferred plays are OG, Siakam, and Fred VanVleet, but I'm not necessarily fading like Trent Jr. or Barnes. I just feel far more confident in OG and Fred VanVleet and Siakam. Most of my builds are going to come with one run back because of my exposure to that first game that we talked about. So I'm going to have a lot of this game. I think it's one of the better ones to target just from a rotation and pricing standpoint on the slate.
Yeah, no doubt. We all know Toronto's going to max out their main dudes minutes for sure here. Mangone, this seems like a spot where one side for sure is going to play their guys big minutes, and then you got studs on the other side. This seems like a spot that we could load up on. What do you think?
Yeah, I like this game a lot. One thing I don't agree with what you said, AP, is I don't agree with like maybe going on to Anunoby. The price is good, but there is unknown there because he only played 25 minutes that last game. So I don't know how healthy for sure he is. Maybe it was because of blood. Maybe I have to pull up the charts and check, but that is one.
He's good, Mangone. He's good.
Yeah, they weren't playing for anything there. It was all locked up. It was against the Knicks. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still be. The only reason I'd be a little worried too is because they might just go a lot.
Mangone, he didn't play the entire fourth quarter.
Well, okay, that's good. That's good to know because then he would have got to like 30.
I mean, he might suck, but minutes are definitely not the issue.
Yeah.
Well,
he played the whole fourth.
Here's another route where minutes could be an issue, right? Do they go a little bit bigger more to just throw a ton at Embiid? Like, here's my question. Who's the first guy off the court between Anunoby, Barnes, and all those other guys if they put Pascal at the 3 at times? You know what I'm talking about, Fallon?
Well, I think they normally take Barnes out first.
Yeah,
and then they bring.
They're going to play. They're going to play the exact same rotation they're playing already.
Because what happens is when Fred VanVleet comes out, they play point Barnes for that short span of time. So I'm pretty sure Barnes will be the first guy out. However, that it doesn't matter because he's coming right back in a little bit, and then he'll play point for a little. But yeah, I mean that's what they'll do.
Okay, that's fair. So the other thing I want to talk about, Pascal 8.9. I want to mention him. Obviously, I think he's like an incredible play. I think he's a really good tournament option that you can go to. I really like Fred VanVleet too at 7.9. I just think it's a really good price tag on a dude that's going to get a pile of minutes that has a really nice ceiling. You can easily see him get going. Will he have to probably deal with Maxey? I'm sure he'll have to deal with that. But I think he's a good play. If you do want to take the chance on Scotty Barnes, again, the ceiling he could have at 6.9, if he gets going, you get to see point Scotty a little bit more. He has a ceiling too. I think this is a good game that, like, if you do play an Embiid, running it back with like a Raptor seems like a smart idea a ton of the time. I'm definitely going to do my best to get exposure to Pascal or a Fred VanVleet on my lineup. I think it just seems like it's smart to get exposure to these Raptors guys because, like we talked about earlier, these teams, some of them are going to be feeling it out, right? Some are going to be playing 10-man rotations. We do feel pretty confident that the Raptors are going to play what they put out. I mean, Nick Nurse, he plays his starters, right? We always talk about this and how important it is. And it's game one. And other teams, they might not do that. They might, try some other stuff just to see how, lineups look. The Raptors, they're just going to play their guys, So I think Raptors, you want to get some exposure to them today. They're definitely a good team to be overweight on. James Harden probably won't get a lot of ownership. Somewhere to John Moran. No one's going to pay up for another guard like that. So if you want to do that to get some leverage on Embiid, you certainly can. I don't think that's the approach I'm going to take on this slate. I definitely like Embiid, but I think I prefer Jokic to Embiid. I think that's a good talking point to mention when you talk about him because Jokic just seems like at 10.6K, he is the guy there. There's no one else. Like me and Big T were talking on the Western Conference preview yesterday. I don't even know who their second best player is on the Nuggets. Like it's just, they are absolutely terrible besides Jokic, and he's going to have to carry the load more than Embiid. And the Raptors are going to throw so many bigs at Embiid that I think they're going to do a good job of making it difficult. Embiid will still get his, I'm sure, but I lean Jokic as the best spend up on this slate.
All right. K Falik, what are you thinking here? You think Toronto's a good spot to target with the studs on the other side? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think that that you can definitely play some of these Raptors. It's so interesting how DK and FanDuel are so different today on some of these pricing. So Scotty Barnes 6.9K on DraftKings, 5.5K on FanDuel. Really hard to ignore 5.5K price for a guy playing 30 plus minutes at a position that's not the small forward, power forward position is not as strong in the mid tier on FanDuel. I know we have all these studs that are power forward eligible today and stuff like that, but I just built a FanDuel lineup I'm very comfortable with. Scotty Barnes is going to be clearly in there. I think OG is a really nice play at 5.8 and 5.5, 5.5 on DraftKings. Siakam's an interesting play on DraftKings. He's at 8.9K. I have interest there. And then on the Philly side, I don't see how you can play anybody except for possibly Joel Embiid and James Harden if your builds garner that route. I'm going to see if I can fit one of them. I like that first game a lot more than I like this game necessarily. James Harden's the most confusing play of the slate. You have no clue what to expect with him. So I'm interested to hear y'all's thoughts on James Harden for sure.
So before I throw it to Tony, I just have to get this. I think that the best play in this game, and for me, it's not even close when I'm looking at the slate and how it's setting up from the position. Fred VanVleet might be the best play. He's 7,900 on DraftKings, 7,800 on FanDuel. That's just too cheap. This is an 8.5 player who's playing 40 minutes, no doubt, probably more if the game is close. Like he could play 42 or 44 minutes, would not shock me at all. He plays 40 minutes in the regular season most of the time. So I think Fred VanVleet, he's going to get some James Harden on the perimeter. Maybe he gets a little Danny Green. Maybe he gets some Maxey. But like, I think he's going to be the guy that smashes. I think everyone's seeing Siakam. Remember, Siakam had that 75 burger against Philly, but there was no Fred VanVleet and there was no OG. And they had no Matisse Thybulle to play defense on Siakam on the other end in that game because it was in Toronto. So just keep that in mind. I don't like Siakam as much. I think Freddie is by far the best play on the Toronto side, no doubt. He's probably my favorite play in the game too, because that position is going to get loaded with Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson and all these other really good guards on this slate, I think Fred VanVleet could get left out, and it's a mistake. I think he's probably one of my favorite guard plays on the entire slate. So
Do you think they run Thibault into the ground because he's not able to play games 3 and 4?
I would say so. I think they almost match Thibault's minutes with Siakam if he's not in foul trouble.
I like that comment. That's a good. That's a good comment.
So, all right, Tony, let's get to you here. We need your takes. Toronto, Philly, give it to us. You're the Toronto backer too. Regular season, Tony is the Toronto King. So I can't imagine you're not going to play some Raptors on this slate. Like, I'll be stunned.
Yeah, I mean, K. Fallick's point's important too, because like Scotty Barnes, I can't pay 6,900 on DK for Barnes. It's like Memphis again. But when you go to FanDuel and he's 55 or whatever you said, 58, 56, somewhere in the 5Ks, he becomes a much better play. On DK, OG at 5,500 is just a much, much better play than Scotty Barnes. But then I'd flip it on FanDuel and definitely play the opposite. The guy, I guess I kind of agree more with JSU. Pascal, he worries me in the playoffs because teams build a wall. Teams don't let you just rim run and lay it in like they do in the regular season. And with Embiid in there, some other good defenders like Thibault, I worry about Pascal for sure at 9K. Like I couldn't play Pascal over like Gobert even. I like Gobert way more than him. But I do like these guards. I mean, VanVleet, like you said, I love him. He's going to play 40 minutes. He's got tons of experience in the playoffs. Love him. I like Gary Trent a little too. I think they'll need some perimeter shooting just to open things up a little bit. Like I said, if they build a wall to try to stop Pascal, in theory, they know OG and Scotty Barnes can't shoot much either. So there might not be a whole lot of spacing out there. You need someone like Gary Trent maybe to extend the court a little bit. I don't love him. He's not going to be a staple by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Trent got hot, dropped a little 40-piece or something today. So 40-piece fantasy, not actual points. I don't know. I like these guys. I like the VanVleet take, though. He's for sure going to play 40 minutes. He's got the easiest matchup of the game. So that's kind of where I am with them. And then Philly, I think, is super cut and dry. I mean, Harden, Embiid, both you can play them for sure, without a doubt. Harden has looked bad, but like I said yesterday, I think on Mangone's show, they haven't practiced together somehow since. I know people don't value this very much in the NBA, but Embiid and Harden had not had an official practice together till this week, and they had a whole week off. So I don't know, maybe it helps a little bit and gets them a little more chemistry for a guy like Harden. After we get through the whole slate, we'll have to like rank the studs because it does get interesting and how you proceed with that. I like them both. I don't know how I would rank them officially. I would for sure rank Jokic number 1. I mean, without a doubt, because he's the only stud there. I think the Warriors, well, we'll get into that game in a second where I can talk more about him. But yeah, I mean, the Toronto guys are good. I don't think I'll play Pascal. That'll be my fade. I don't think he'll be owned, though. So, like, when AP and these guys say they like him, I do like that take that he'll be low owned. And, I mean, he's been going off. So, if he keeps it going, he could definitely be like a contrarian shipper today. It's just not going to be for me. I just don't like Pascal as much.
He's going to be really low owned. You got to bump his projection way up to a level like that. I don't even like to really get him.
You got to get him in like the 50s, right? To get him,
you got to get him up there quite a bit. So
I mean, he's expensive. I mean, you look at all the guys in there. Really, if you play a guy 8K and above today, I'd even put Gobert in that bucket. Like, you're going to need 50 plus from these guys. There's just too many underpriced guys, and there's too many studs. I mean, some of these studs are going to get you 60. There's no doubt about it. So I don't know. I am a big Pascal fan. I don't love this series for Pascal. Philly has a lot of guys they can throw at him, and they can build a wall. So I don't know. I like Toronto, though. The minutes are nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. Toronto is definitely a good spot to attack. I think it is an interesting question of, does Toronto go bigger, and who would that affect if they did? Like, if they brought
I don't think they do for sure, but that's my opinion. I I just think they like their guys.
They're going to run their guys. That's what they've done all like.
Yeah, I agree with K.
No,
Fowler.
I just think that the length could cause more issues. Like if you had an Achua or a Thad Young or a Bush. I mean, Thad Young's a veteran. Like, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if like
they're just going to have even less spacing though if they do that.
Yeah, they're under. I think they're undersized, but they're undersized.
Achua's actually been shooting the three decent. I don't know about that. Like he gave Philly issues in that last matchup, kind of extending out in that corner. Yeah. He likes that corner spot three.
I mean, if you got a lineup with Pascal and Precious and OG or Scotty, whoo, I better bet Philly if those guys are all on the court.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see on that. So let's move on to the last game.
You have to have interest in Gary Trent, though. I will say that. I know it's been discussed, but I think that in any situation, I think you're going to see Gary Trent being the guy for
he's the only other like guard besides
that's not going to get run off the court. And I was going to add, that's not going to get run off the court. Like I feel like Gary Trent Jr. is the only, like there are three guys that shouldn't get run off the court. It's Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, and Fred VanVleet. I don't think any.
And they're not going to take Scotty. They just play their dudes. Fuck, you're right. Jesus. Like because they're not taking Scotty off the court. There's no way.
Yeah.
I think they're just running their guys. I do, but I think that Gary Trent Jr.'s minutes are safe. He's going to be needed. I think he's going to get the Maxey or James Harden thing going. And like, I could see Thibault possibly even guarding Fred VanVleet if they feel like that's a better spot for him today, whatever it may be. So I think that Gary Trent Jr. is going to get the worst defender on him possibly. So,
well, he's going to be needed because when they build that wall, you need shooters. Like when they build that wall to slow down Pascal's going to be looking for shooters in those corners. And that's where they're going to be sneaking around, trying to get Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet open for threes, OG. So, yeah.
I think Embiid could guard Pascal too. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all if Embiid guarded him.
He might. Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't
That's
matter
what I
anyways.
expect.
I think we all agree that they're going to play their dudes. So.
It's one of those things where I think earlier in the game, Embiid won't. And then as the game gets later, I think down the stretch, you might be right. Embiid might end up guarding Siakam.
I agree with that.
That's why I like OG, though. OG is kind of that forgotten guy that I think could get some open looks. So
55,
he's got to hit him.
Too.
Yeah, he's got to hit him.
They could leave him open, like literally, like leave him open.
I think they're leaving Scotty for sure.
Which they should.
I mean, they
definitely
should.
Leave Scotty open.
The thing with Scotty, though, is he'll sometimes, even when he's wide open, he'll sometimes just put his head down and try and get to the hoop. Like he's that like freakishly long. He's very confident in like taking it to the hole. So he doesn't always succumb to shooting threes.
Are you guys not high on Harden? Like when you look at his price, like he might be like one of my highest owned guys. When we're not talking about Dinwiddie and stuff, like as far as like the studs, like 9-2, like I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a fish play.
At the end of the show, we need to like just talk strictly studs, like because it is hard, man. Like these top guys they're the studs for a reason. I agree with you though. I mean, Harden definitely has the upside and the price tag.
Here's the problem on this playoff slate, though, and we know this in the playoffs, where a lot of these guys are going to get a little more minutes. It's going to be more focused around them. You're going to need big games from those studs. Like you're going to need it because you're going to see some big scores from some of these guys at the top. So, like Tony was saying with Siakam, like if Siakam, he needs to get you 50 something. Like I think.
And if you play him, like you have to like Pascal more than at least two of Harden, Cat, Ja, Embiid, Jokic, like Gobert, Mitchell. Like you have to like him more than two of those guys. So, man, there's a lot of good. Harden could be the winner for sure. I'm with AP with that, just because of the price tag, like 9,200.
Yeah, here's the 2v2. Just like to give an example real quick is you're looking at Jokic and a guy like Reggie Bullock. Or
please put someone in besides Reggie Bullock.
It's
at least give me Brandon Clark, your guy's hero.
Monty Moore. Do you want Monty Morris instead?
Anybody but freaking Reggie Bullock.
Fine,
I'm not playing Reggie Bullock.
Fine. Jokic and Monty Morris, or Harden and Draymond Green.
I mean,
That's the 2v2 that I'm looking at.
I mean, I'm not going to be looking at that 2v2, but yeah.
Why?
All right, let's come back to this
Harden,
conversation. I want to hit this.
You got to put
I wanna
dudes
hit
in
this
there that are
game.
like in play. Monte.
How is Draymond Green not in play?
Well, I mean, Monte. I mean, Draymond's fine.
Can we get to this game and we'll
Yeah.
give the takes on Draymond? So let's
You
go.
let
Golden
K. Fallick
State.
bring up Reggie Bullock in a 2v2.
I literally said he's a terrible play. What do you mean?
I don't
let him
want
bring
Reggie
it up?
Bullock.
K.
I'm just saying
Fallick
he's the
speaks
Why'd you
best
for
put
in
him
his
in
range.
2v2? You,
K. Fallick speaks for himself. What do you want me
He's
to
gonna
do?
play 40 minutes though. Like if you're a multi-entry
oh
player.
no,
I
you
don't
like
see how
Reggie
you-
Bullock too? Oh,
How do
no.
I
He's
fit
in his-
him? He's gonna play.
Reggie Bullock's in his
no,
core.
he's not in his core.
in my
No,
core.
stop it. Oh, I'm pulling the cores up. No.
He's
I always manage to make
4,800.
fun of someone that's in someone's core every time I do a show. He's not in your core. Stop.
He is in my
He's
core.
in a
I don't know
FanDuel
who he is.
core.
no.
I'm sorry, he's in FanDuel.
Oh, FanDuel.
Oh,
All right.
thank God. He's like in the 3Ks there though.
Big T, it's like me with Zubac tomorrow. He'll min cash, right? And it'll be great. We can make fun of him. And then,
I don't mind Reggie as much on FanDuel because he's in the 3Ks. He's like 5K on DK, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
I
4,800.
do. Hey, Big T, I do have Maxi Kleber in my core.
I mean,
he's 3-3. He's 3-3.
I know, and he's going to be 60% owned at 3-3.
I know.
Ugh.
But he gets me a ton of stuff. I don't know.
The thing I'll say about the Maxi thing, I have definitely been working through like what the best way to fade him is and stuff. And like, it's
Don't pretend
definitely not
like you're fading him. Like you're playing Maxi
The
Kleber.
best way to fade him is to literally not play him.
Hold
Don't
on,
click
can
the
you-
button.
Wait, I want to hear Big T again. Please say what you said again.
You're playing him for sure.
No,
There's
it's
no
not.
way
I'm
you
not
don't.
because the day I did really well the other day was when I faded Vanderbilt, and everyone had Vanderbilt. It's the same exact scenario. It's
No,
literally
Vanderbilt was
identical.
like
How did
5K.
everyone play a guy that me and you, we did an
Get us to
hour
this next
plus
game.
show,
Get us to
and
this
me and
next
you
game.
didn't say a word about Vanderbilt. I don't know
Get
how
us to this
everyone
next
played
game.
Vanderbilt.
No, we can't go down the
because it's
Vanderbilt
the exact
path.
same situation
All right.
when you
Get
run.
us to the Nuggets,
No,
host.
no, don't
All right.
get us to the next game.
No,
No,
we need
I
to.
don't want to talk
Let me
about
explain.
Vanderbilt.
No, let me explain because this is valuable.
Oh.
The Optos are pushing him just like they pushed Vanderbilt. It was the identical situation.
So you're not playing Maxi.
Yeah, there's a chance I'm not. I'm
Oh,
trying.
there's
to
a
work it.
chance. You just gave that whole speech and then you said there's a chance.
Well, I'm looking through it still. I'm still trying to find a way to
Get
make
us
it
to the
work.
freaking Nuggets game.
All right, we need to talk here. Denver, Golden State, and I'm just going to start with Big T because he's the Denver homer. We got no Jamal Murray, sadly, in this game. He's still not ready to play or is ready, but not willing to be ready to play. So, Tony, break this game down for us. Give us your Draymond take. What is happening with Steph Curry? Like, talk to us here.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing with Denver is obviously got to be the price tag on Jokic on DK. 10-6. We talked about a lot of studs, but I just don't know how you fade Jokic unless you think it blows out. Like if you think Golden State, which I think I got 3 big teams today and then the 150, maybe I play a blowout on one of them just to get a different build. But if this game stays close, I just see no way he doesn't get you like 70. He's going to cry. He's the safest stud. I mean, the price tag at 10-6 is just totally egregious. I don't understand how you don't play him, but just everyone likes him, I'm sure. So to talk about the rest of them, I mean, you got Gordon, who's looked pretty good, but his price tag 6,500. I can't do that. 6,500 for Gordon. Can't do it. I mean, Monte, Barton, Bones, all these price tags are pretty fair. I mean, 5K. I do think they're going to play some bench guys too more. I don't think Denver's like a short rotation by any means. Like they might be as the series goes on, they could limit it a little bit, but in game one, I just don't see it. I would look more to these cheap guys. JaMychal Green, 33, Rivers, 3K, Jeff Green, 3,600. Like, for example, you're going to give up projection points, but I would take a stab on one of these guys even a little bit before like Maxi, just totally unowned. I mean, none of these guys are going to carry. You're going to get JaMychal Green 1% owned. You're going to get Maxi Kleber 60% owned. Granted, Kleber for sure is a better technical play, 100%. Like, I'm not denying that. But when JaMychal Green goes for 28 or something tonight and Kleber gets you 16, you're like so far ahead of the field. Again, I'm not like saying I love JaMychal. I'm just using it in the 150. Like maybe I play 10% JaMychal, kind of like a golf strategy, 10% Jeff Green, 10% JaMychal. And yeah, I'm only playing 10%. So people are like, what's that do? Well, they're going to be 1% owned. So like I'm way above the field if one of those guys pops off. But to summarize Denver for sure, I mean, just Jokic for the most part. Like if I'm playing 3 teams, I'm really not playing any of those other guys. But in my 150, yeah, I think Golden State plays more dudes than people probably think too out of the gate. With Curry coming back from injury, we don't necessarily know how healthy he is. And the price tags, Curry at 9,300. I don't know how you could pay that coming off an injury. But the flip side to that is what? Literally no one's playing Curry, like whatsoever. So if you did want to play him, you're getting Curry at under probably 3% owned. One. So you could like stack this game, I think, where you play a bunch of guys in one tournament build or something, where you stack it up and you play Curry and you play Jokic and you play a couple of the cheaper pieces. And who knows? I mean, blowouts happen. We don't ever forecast it. But what happens when Utah blows them out? Memphis blows them out. All of a sudden, there's all bust. I mean, how many times have we seen this as a panel? Like, it'll be a 4-game slate, and we get to game 3, and there's just all bust. Everyone's tilted. Everyone's like, this guy got way below the value. And then you're like, man, I wish I had all 8 guys. Strictly game theory, strictly just to build a side thing, because I don't like these prices outside of, like K. Fallick said, Draymond 6,100, I think is a very good play in the playoffs just because he's going to be asked to do more. He's going to control the offense. He's going to help Curry and Clay get open, all that kind of stuff. So Draymond would be my favorite Warriors play. I'm never playing Wiggins. You're not paying that price for Poole. Looney, I guess you could play just because of the pro. So that's another example. I know they're not the exact position, center, but 3,400 for Looney or Maxey. I'm taking Looney over Maxey too, just because price tag and ownership. Looney will get a little ownership just because of price, but not near what Maxey's going to get. So that's kind of where I'm at here. I mean, game stack or nothing basically for me. And then Draymond and Jokic are the 2 guys I think you can play just with whoever.
All right. I like it. AP, what do you got here in this Denver Golden State game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Big T kind of said it perfectly. And, on that note, one reason why I like that Raptors Philly game, it's the one game that I just can't see blowing out either way. Like, I think that's the game that stays close, and that's why I'm going to be the heaviest on it. And I might end up being under versus the field on Jokic because I think he's going to make it into a ton of builds. And there's some really good Jokic and Embiid builds that I've seen too, as long as you're fine playing some of these dusty guys. So I think the Warrior side of this game is really difficult outside of Draymond Green. I think Draymond Green is a really tough, a really good play. The other thing too is so these teams have played 4 times. I think the Nuggets have taken 3 of those games. One game was a full punt where Jordan Poole and a bunch of scrubs almost beat this Nuggets team in what was a really DFS friendly game, a couple months ago. Draymond Green has yet to play a game in this series, and I think he's just going to be the X factor. I think they're going to throw the sink at Jokic and make things tough on him because now, I'd much rather Aaron Gordon, Monty Morris, these other guys beat you. And so I'm going to get a little different with this game. I'm going to play guys. I mean, it's dusty, but like Austin Rivers, not like a ton of them, but at 3K, a guy they trusted last year in the playoffs. He allows me to get multiple studs into my lineup. And I think it's going to take a lot for him to beat me. Now, I could be definitely wrong with it being a 4-game slate. I know me and Tony were talking about this earlier, maybe more of a 2-game slate type of play, but I do like what it frees up for me on the slate. The run backs, though, on the Warriors side, it's just really tough. So the values on the Nuggets, Jeff Green, in tournaments, Austin Rivers, just a little bit. And then, yeah, it's Jokic. I'm not fading Jokic. I think just like a full fade of him is probably a mistake if you're multi-entering on the slate. But as far as like highest owned players that I keep getting is Draymond on the Warriors side. So I do think it's going to be tough for the Warriors. I mean, for the Nuggets, because like now with how good Poole's playing, like they got so much firepower. Like you don't need to push Curry a ton here. You have Poole, who's been phenomenal off the bench, and it's just going to be constant pressure. So Jokic could break the slate if they keep it close. Otherwise, I could see blowout being a big problem here. And we know what Malone will do. Like, if the game's over, he'll just pull everyone and put in some of these scrubs. So that would be my one concern.
Yeah, I like it. And that's why I like the take of, like, if you're playing Jokic, maybe stack them with a few other pieces, play a Monte, play a Will Barton, play, someone on the run back. So I like that idea. Travis, what do you got here in this Golden State Nuggets game?
Yeah, I'm definitely going with some Jokic today. He definitely seems like a good stud. It's like him or Embiid. Like, that's like Tony said before, you kind of have to rank them. And I think my ranking is currently Jokic over Embiid. You can certainly play both if you'd like to. There's definitely routes where that is possible. On the Golden State side, like, it's definitely worth talking about. Like, again, another center option is Looney. And Looney is someone that you are definitely, if you're playing him, then you can only play one more stud center. So that's like a really big decision point on this slate for sure, is how you're handling him. I do think he's definitely in play at 3-4 is a pretty good value. I think Draymond at the power forward position is where I would slot him in over the center position. I do think that he is a good option at that 6.1K tag that you can get exposure to. I don't really like playing Curry. I think there's better ways to be unique today than going Steph Curry. I think there's way more sharper plays, like a Fred VanVleet. That's a way sharper way of getting unique than going to a Steph Curry, because I just worry about the minutes and everything. Don't need to go to a Klay Thompson or a Poole. It's really keying in on Draymond Green and Looney on that Golden State side. And then on the Denver side, I did talk about Jokic already. Great play. I like some of the stuff that Tony said. I'm curious to see what they do with the rest of these guys. Like Aaron Gordon, we've seen be, a lot better in the playoffs and the minutes get better at 6.5K. Could he be a contrarian guy that gets you like 40 DK points today? It does seem like he'll be needed a ton in this series and someone that might need to be leaned on more. So I think Aaron Gordon at 6.5, it does feel like a bit of an expensive tag, but I think he could be a pretty contrarian, unique option in the mid tier that has the opportunity to have a pretty big game. So that's like one unique guy you can go to. And I like some of Big T's takes where he talked about like JaMychal Green, but instead of JaMychal Green, I think Jeff Green at 3.6 could be the better option to go to as like a 1% guy that no one's going to go to. That certainly is a veteran that could show up in these like, small ball lineups against the Warriors and make a lot of sense.
All right, Phallic, bring us home here, buddy. What do we got?
Yeah, so I can't believe I'm the FanDuel speaker today, the representation of FanDuel, but here I am. Playing Jokic on FanDuel at 12K is a tough price tag to play him at when you have Embiid at 11.3K. I see like that 700 difference is a lot larger than the 10.6 to the 10.4. So I'll be playing Embiid on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I'll be playing Jokic for sure over Embiid at 10.6K. I already said it, but Draymond Green, I think, is an absolutely fantastic play on both sites. 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,400 on FanDuel. But you have to remember, what is Draymond Green really good at when it comes to like this type of situation? It's the steals and the blocks, and that's what is very valuable on FanDuel. Is you get another additional point, and you could bank for 3 or 4 steals and blocks from Draymond Green in this type of series when he's really like amped up and playing that defensive Draymond Green that he is. The two guys that I cannot figure out for the life of me are the cheap guys for Golden State, Kevon Looney and I hate saying it, it makes me want to vomit, but Andre Iguodala is like he's min priced, and I feel like they're going to need him in the playoffs. I don't know if they end up playing him 20 minutes, but like if they play Kevon Looney for like my question I asked before the show started is who's going to guard Nikola Jokic? And I still don't know the answer to that. I'm interested to hear what y'all think of who's going to guard Jokic today. But if you tell me that Looney's going to be the guy that's going to be guarding Jokic, you got to have a lot of interest in Looney at that price tag. The problem is what does the rest of the team look like? If Looney plays 25, 30 minutes, then that's got to remove guys like Otto Porter Jr. It's got to remove guys like Bielitsa and all these other guys. They're like Kuminga's not going to be playing minutes, and they're going to go down to an 8-9 man rotation at that point instead of the 11 that they've been playing. I don't have interest in any other Denver guys. I understand what y'all's thoughts are with them, but I think it's like Jokic is what they're going to play around, and that's the only guy I'm going to be interested in. But definitely interested in hearing y'all's thoughts on like the Looney and the Iguodala and who's going to guard Jokic.
Yeah, well, we had a question in chat. I saw someone brought up Kuminga's name, and I want to give it an example because I think it's a good example. Like in the playoffs, they didn't trust Kuminga in the regular season. We saw that how many times. They're not trusting him in the playoffs, so I wouldn't even touch Jonathan Kuminga. Similar can be said, like Iguodala is a good example. He's the perfect guy that I would slide in and be like, they would definitely trust Iguodala over someone like Kuminga. So like Iguodala could definitely get minutes. On the Denver side, though, like if this game stays close, I think, a guy like Monte Morris, who Mike Malone, who does not really love the young dudes, he's going to lean on Monte over Bones in these spots. I think he's going to lean on Will Barton, Jeff Green, and all those other guys. So I think like a Monte Morris or a Will Barton are good plays with Jokic. I think you can play them because if Jokic is going off, if Denver's winning or in this game, I think Jokic is distributing. I think Jokic is, getting all these guys involved. And I think that's, a good way to look at it. So in my Jokic teams, I'm going to try and play some Monte or Will with Jokic because I think if Jokic goes nuts, I think someone else is going to go nuts with Jokic to hang in this game. And the problem is, who do I run it back with from Golden State with Curry in? He's not going to play like his full minutes, but he's going to play enough minutes, I think. And then you got Clay, Jordan Poole. Both are overpriced on DraftKings. I wouldn't even look at them on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they have cheaper price tags. Maybe you could play a Clay or Jordan Poole on FanDuel and hope one of them could easily go nuclear too against Denver, like perimeter. They're going to be keying in on Steph. Like one of those secondary wing dudes could definitely go nuts against Denver. So I think maybe looking at them on FanDuel, if you're stacking up Jokic and Monte and Will, would be an interesting way to run it back for sure. So that's my takes.
Who
guys,
guards Jokic? Who guards Jokic?
Oh, I think Kevin Looney starts guarding Jokic, and the question is how do they finish?
Looney for 25 minutes, yes or no?
I think he plays 25 minutes if there's no foul trouble. Yeah. I think they just need him. Again, though, maybe Draymond does. Maybe Draymond just gets out there for some of the minutes and play. They can't play Kevin Looney Jokic's minutes anyways. I wouldn't be stunned if Draymond got in there and tried to guard him.
Yeah, they're certainly going to put Draymond at the 5 at times. I mean, they're not just going to not play him there. He'll log minutes there because they're going to go to more of like a smaller ball lineup to try and spread it out for sure.
Sure, but you got Kevon Looney playing 25 minutes at 3.4K. When he's been playing 15 to 17, and I'm seeing projections of him in that range. If you bump him up to 25 minutes from the 15 to 17 minutes, he's going to pop very hard.
The reason not to play him is he's center eligible.
I would play Looney over Kleber.
Okay, but here's the thing. This is key. You said you'd play Looney over Kleber, which it's fine if that was a straight. They're not the same position. Positions matter. So like you can.
Yeah, but on DraftKings, I get 2 centers, Mangone.
Of course, but if you want Embiid and Jokic, you can't play Looney, right? Like that's
that's obviously
But that's the point I'm getting at. It's a huge decision point on this slate. When you run Optos today, it's Embiid and Jokic on a bunch of the top ones. So like it's a huge decision point. Are you spending up for 2 centers, or are you going to do a cheap center build with a expensive center build? That's one of the big decision points on DraftKings today.
Okay, and it makes sense. But on the flip side, the way you should think about it is that means Looney's going to be extremely lower owned because a lot of people are going to play those double centers. So right then and there, your unique build comes in on a 4-game slate right then and there. So that's the way I kind of look at it.
Well, I think those are the 3 most popular centers. I think you're going to see like that's where all the center ownership is. Like when Big T said earlier, he might do a Gobert here. Like that's the instant way. I'm curious to see how all the ownership shakes out on it. But if you play, like, I think a lot of people are going to do the Maxey and Looney thing. So like, if you just fade Maxey instantly today, JSU, that is going to just make you unique right away. Like I said, with the Vanderbilt.
Mangone, that's a given. There's no way I play Maxey on any slate. I just refuse.
But the reason why I'm telling you that is like, you don't have the Galaxy brain too far off that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that's just, he's on so many teams from when I looking at everything. Like it's just, yeah.
Fair enough. I like it. All right. We are an hour and a half into this show. We need more likes, guys, 256 likes, but we got 553 watching. I mean, that's a ratio. What are we doing here? We're getting ratioed here.
That's hurtful.
No,
that's hurtful, JSU. It's just simple.
I know.
I don't have to say much more.
That's all I was going to say. Well, there you go. So let's get the like button up here as we talk about our favorite studs. And then I got to get out of here so I can build my teams because I haven't even built the damn team yet. So, Tony, why don't you rank your studs here? We might as well talk about it. We'll get the discussion going. You can start us off.
Yeah, I mean, so the more the show's gone on, the more I dislike the Jokic and Embiid pairing. I don't know. I'm going more on the AP side where Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Brunson, Dinwiddie, Van Vliet. I'm going more on that next tier of studs. And I'm definitely not fading Jokic. I don't want people to think that, but in my 3 builds, I'm probably going to do one with Jokic and a scrub build, and then a lot of these mid-tier builds with I clearly like the first game the most with the Dallas guys. With the Utah, I really like Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. I like that game. If I had to rank the studs though, it would be Jokic 1. I mean, how far are we going? Just the upper studs. I don't know. I'm kind of down on Embiid.
And up. Just give us 9K and up.
Yeah, I mean, the only 3 guys, let me sort it by that. Like, I'm not playing Ja, not playing Cat, not playing Curry, not playing Pascal. So the only 3 up there is Jokic, Embiid, Harden. I'd rank it Jokic, Harden, Embiid. But I really like that next tier the most. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Freddie Van Vliet. And I'll even throw Brunson in that bracket. Those 4 are like my favorite 4, that next tier.
All right,
so I
like
guess I'm going to be contrarian because I'm not super high on those top studs.
This is good because on these slates, I personally like mid-tier building a ton. I do this a lot. I think the mid-tier build is going to win today. So I'm probably going to be lower on some of the studs in general because I just think you could play like an 8K and down team and it be the winner tonight. I think a lot of those guys are going to be really good plays and are going to have really good games. So I like the mid-tier route. If I had to rank them, I would go Jokic, Embiid, and then pretty much everyone else. But maybe I'd go Ja next, just to throw a third person in there. But I'm probably not going to play. Definitely not playing him on DK for sure, Ja. So that's how I do it. AP, you got a ranking here?
Yeah, with price factored in for me, I'm ranking James Harden number 1. 9-2. He opens up a lot of what you can do. I'm really just thinking about like locking him in because then I can go all these different, paths. I can go a mid-tier. I can go a Harden Embiid or a Harden Jokic. So I'm going to say a Harden number 1 followed by, Embiid and then Jokic for me.
All right. Harden number 1, Embiid, Jokic. Mangone?
Yeah, sorry. I was typing to someone. So here's the thing. I think at the top, Jokic is my number 1 guy. I've talked about it a lot during this show. Think he's going to be a really good option. Embiid, number 2, I think clearly the number 2 guy. Then from there, I really like kind of diving. I guess we're doing 9K and above, you said, JSU?
Yeah, anyone like 9K
Okay.
and above.
Yeah, I'd say number 3 for me. My lean is either going to I'm putting Pascal in the 9K and above just because he's like right there. It's the same thing. I'd say Pascal's 3, and I like AP's Harden take. And the reason why I don't mind the Harden thing as much is he's leverage off of Embiid as well, right? Regardless, like whoever the guy's names could be, it could be, Big T out there or Titletown. Like you're gaining a little bit of extra juice there with playing Harden, because if Harden has a big game, like a massive one, there is a chance Embiid does not have as big of a game. Yes, they can both have big games, but there is that opportunity there where it helps you leverage the field a little bit. So I think that I'm going to rank then Harden there at 4, because I think that's key.
All right, K. Fallick, you got a ranking for us?
Sorry. I think on FanDuel, Jokic 1 for me, and Harden 2, or not Jokic 1, I'm sorry, Embiid 1, Harden 2, Jokic 3. And then it flips around completely on DK, where Jokic becomes 1, Embiid becomes 3, and Harden's 2. So the price, the 700 difference in pricing on FanDuel is very important to me compared to the $200 on DK.
Okay. Yeah. So on DraftKings, I'm just going Jokic, Embiid. Same thing on FanDuel, I guess. Those are probably going to be the only two guys that I spend up for, if I spend up at all. But let's do this, guys. Let's give our favorite play overall, and then we'll just get out of here. Our favorite play can be any range, anywhere you want. Just one guy who you're gonna, build your teams around, or one of your favorites. AP, can we start with you?
Yeah, James Harden kind of alluded to that. Going to be my highest owned guy.
Love it. Mangone, what do we got here?
I don't want to steal your guy because I think I'm going to steal yours. So go back to me at the end, JSU.
Okay. K Falik?
Draymond.
Oh, I love that.
That's who I was maybe going to say, but yeah. So.
All right, Mangone. So go. Since you're not going to steal my guy.
Here's a guy I definitely really like. And I think it's a really good pivot. I know I'm playing Dinwiddie for sure in the first game. I'm fading Maxey, so I'm gonna make decisions probably after the lock, but I think it's D'Angelo Russell is a really strong play at 7.2K. That's just going to have a pretty good spot and get a lot of usage his way. And he shows up for these big moments while Cat doesn't. So I'm going to go with D Russ as a really good contrarian guard pivot.
All right, Big T. Give us the winner, the workbench play, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, because I love the people. We got how many likes do we got? 300.
Well, we got almost 300.
Yeah,
so don't you dare give us like 2 plays unless we get to that 300 spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you even more and just say that I love this first game. So I am gonna give out to play on my main team. You'll see it: Dinwiddie, Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert. All 4 of them. Just for the people, just for today. You hung out, 300 likes, dealt with people talking about Brandon Clark. I appreciate you guys dealing with us. And I had to get take care of the people.
Big T, are you going to do the K Falik? Are you going to do the K Falik Josh Green run back as well? Because that was I couldn't handle.
Oof.
I can't
wait. Reggie Bullock, Josh Green.
Bullock, you love the first game, but no Reggie Bullock, right?
On FanDuel though, on FanDuel I'm with AP. I'll have some on FanDuel. I'm not paying $5K for him though on DK. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I was going to
definitely at 3,900 though.
I was going to ask the D'Angelo Russell versus Anthony Edwards question to Mangone after this, but it doesn't matter anymore because I have to play D'Angelo Russell because Kevon Looney is $400 cheaper than Brandon Clark, and you better believe I'm playing some Brandon Clark now.
Gotta own him, K Falik. Gotta own him. All right, my play, if it wasn't already said on the show, Fred VanVleet. He's going to be the best play of the Toronto game here. I think he's the best play on the slate and going to be under-owned from what he should be at his price tag just because of the position. So I love that.
One more thing, because people always say this before you close it out. So tons of people are always like, this is where we're good at Run Pure too, I think, game theory. But so many times people are like in the chat, Curtis Myers, how does Embiid not get there today? Only if Harden pops for 70 or foul trouble. Guys, it's the playoffs. Like, guys don't get there all the time. You don't know. It could be a blowout. It could be foul trouble. It could be a rolled ankle. It could be someone getting hot and shifting the rotations. Just because it looks like a lock, and I'm not saying Embiid's a bad play or Jokic or anybody, just don't think anything is that he's the ownership factors in too. Like what AP's talking about Harden and stuff. That's just a misprice. People can miss. Lots of stuff happens. I promise you, over the next 2 months, you're going to see some dudes bust that you didn't think could bust here and there. Usually it's because of a blowout though, like a blowout. Game 1 feeling out, like you'll see some. I guarantee at least 2 of these games today play extremely ugly and tons of guys bust. It happens every single year.
And can I just say too, defenses are different, right? Defenses turn up a little bit. They play teams differently too. They don't want to give too much out in the regular season. They might start doing things to the certain stars that they weren't expecting, or maybe they're not ready for. Maybe they're forcing the ball out of their hands. We've seen it with Trae Young a little bit, right? That first game. So don't expect always these studs to always pop off. Yeah, it's the playoffs. So stars, run shit in the playoffs for sure. A lot of times they're going to have good games, but we've seen a lot of really good players in the past in the playoffs have just bad random games. And you're going to see it here in round one. Not that everyone's going to have bad games, but you're going to see a stud who you weren't expecting to just have an awful game. That's the way it goes. CJ had a terrible game yesterday. Tony was talking about, everyone was saying how you have to play the 3 studs from the Pelicans in Showdown. What happened? CJ busted. And if you didn't play CJ, you probably won a lot of money. So it just happens all the time. So don't expect everything to go the way you think. That's why DFS is not the easiest game in the world. Got to think a little outside the box. You got to do the what if game sometimes with yourself and your lineup. Make sure it makes sense. So that's it. That's my spiel for the day. We got all the winners from us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to roll through NBA, right into MLB, then NASCAR. But we got to get our NBA lineups in, guys. For me, JSU, AP, Travis Mangone, K Fallick, and Big T. We'll see you guys later. Good luck in your contest. We're out.